Hello, welcome back. We're back here on the War Table menu, although in the time in between last video and this video, Cullen had finished his mission, so we're just gonna resolve this really quickly. Building the watchtowers. Commander Cullen. With the watchtowers built, we've had advance warning of demon and bandit attacks. The area is safer for both the refugees and the farmers who had fled the nearby fields. Much appreciated, sir. It's good to know that the Inquisition is willing to put in the time to help these people. From Corporal Vale. Alright, so let's continue with the story and address the Chantry in Val Royeaux. The remaining Chantry clerics have declared the Inquisition heretical. Attempts to gather allies against the breach have been rebuffed, and at this moment we could not step foot into the capital without being attacked by a mob or arrested. We must convince the Chantry to permit us entry into the city so we can show them the Herald of Andraste is not the monster they believe. And the recommended level for this is 4 to 7, but a little bit of a spoiler, there's no real fighting or anything in this, so you're pretty safe to go to this whenever you want to do it, if this is your first time through the game.
Having the Herald address the clerics is not a terrible idea.
You can't be serious.
Mother Giselle isn't wrong. At the moment, the Chantry's only strength is that they are united in opinion.
And we should ignore the danger to the Herald.
Let's ask her.
I'm more concerned this won't actually solve any problems.
I agree. It just lends credence to the idea that we should care what the Chantry says.
I will go with her. Mother Giselle said she could provide us names. Use them.
But why? This is nothing but a...
What choice do we have, Liliana? Right now we can't approach anyone for help with the breach. Use what influence we have to call the clerics together. Once they are ready, we will see this through.
Okay, and this is just what it said in the initial quest, so let's go.
The city still mourns.
Just a guess, Seeker, but I think they all know who we are.
Your skills of observation never fail to impress me, Varric.
My Lady Herald.
You're one of Leliane's people. What have you found?
The Chantry mothers await you, but so do a great many Templars.
There are Templars here?
People seem to think the Templars will protect them from the Inquisition. They're gathering on the other side of the market. I think that's where the Templars intend to meet you.
Only one thing to do, then. They wish to protect the people? From us?
Protect them from the blasphemous Herald of Andraste, I'd say.
Surely they cannot think such a thing.
Why not? They wouldn't be the only ones.
You think the Order's return to the fold, maybe? To deal with us upstarts?
I know Lord Seeker Lucius. I can't imagine him coming to the Chantry's defense. Not after all that's occurred.
We're doing all this to get help with the breach. Maybe this is our chance to get the Templars on our side.
Perhaps. Return to Haven. Someone will need to inform them if we are delayed.
As you say, my lady.
The avenue of her reflective thought, inscribed upon a plaque. Our Lady and the actors of her rise and fall, her message and visage are worth repeating. Mafarath's remorse, beneath, scratched by a vandal, at meeting a low door frame. Mafarath's blood guilt, beneath, scratched by a vandal, and his head suddenly weighs too much. These are so funny. They remind me of some of the, if you've ever seen like graffiti from Rome or Greece or things like that, they really remind me of that type of graffiti. I wonder if they were inspired by those. Some of them are quite rude. Mafarath's regret, beneath, scratched by a vandal, about his unfortunate hair. Mafarath's penitence, beneath, scratched by a vandal, and unrelated headache. The avenue of her reflective thought. The avenue is inspirational, but wise travelers do not linger in their respects, not just because the bazaar awaits, but because the area before the back-turned statues is treacherous. Local legend has it that the child empress Amy abused the opportunity of religious repose to relieve herself beneath the gaze of Our Lady. Unable to discipline the toddling leader, her attendants instead chastised the statues and had them turned in supposed embarrassment. True or not, foolish youths dare each other to soil the spot in similar fashion, and a place of otherwise reverent thought always carries a faint odor about it. Excerpted and torn from A Disposable Walking Tour of the Capital by Philium, a bard. I love Philium. It's little codex entries popping up everywhere. Okay, I think I'll just go directly to this cutscene and then we'll explore.
Stand wary, guardsman.
Good people of Val Royeaux, hear me. Together, we mourn our divine. A naive and beautiful heart, silenced by treachery. You wonder what will become of her murderer. Well, wonder no more. Behold, the so-called Herald of Andraste, claiming to rise where our beloved fell. We say this is a false prophet. The Maker would send no mage in our hour of need.
I really don't want to be so, like, I am the Herald of Andraste. Like, it feels so... To me, these responses, like, I want to play her sort of faithful and a little bit naive and that sort of thing, but these responses where you're so convinced that you're the Herald, they don't feel as much of that type of character. It's more almost like an arrogant, you know, someone who's full of themselves and thinks that they're so important. So even though it's sort of the, like, faithful response, I think I'll just go with this.
And do you know everything the Maker commands? Look up in the sky. I alone survived the breach, and I can end it.
I made a mistake.
It's true. The Inquisition seeks only to end this madness before it is too late.
I pressed the wrong one.
It is already too late. The Templars have returned to the Chantry. They will face this Inquisition, and the people will be safe once more.
Still yourself. She is beneath us.
What's the meaning of this?
Her claim to authority is an insult, much like your own.
Lord Seeker Lucius, it's imperative that we speak with...
You will not address me.
Lord Seeker?
Creating a heretical movement. Raising up a puppet as Andraste's prophet. You should be ashamed. You should all be ashamed. The Templars failed no one when they left the Chantry to purge the mages. You are the ones who have failed. You who'd leash our righteous swords with doubt and fear. If you came to appeal to the Chantry, you are too late. The only destiny here that demands respect is mine.
Templars! One of your own commands the Inquisition's forces. Join us as he did.
You're a mage. Your ties are worthless. They're all made traitors just by being in your company.
Me.
But Lord Seeker, what if she really was sent by the Maker? What if...
You are called to a higher purpose. Do not question.
I will make the Templar Order a power that stands alone against the Void. We deserve recognition. Independence. You have shown me nothing, and the Inquisition, less than nothing. Templars, Val Royeaux is unworthy of our protection. We march.
Charming fellow, isn't he?
Has Lord Seeker Lucius gone mad?
Do you know him very well?
He took over the Seekers of Truth 2 years ago, after Lord Seeker Lambert's death. He was always a decent man, never given to ambition and grandstanding. This is very bizarre.
Do you think he can be reasoned with?
I hope so. If not him, there are surely others in the Order who don't feel as he does. Either way, we should first return to Haven and inform the others.
Oh, sorry, I was a bit of a mess there. Picked the wrong option, coughing into the microphone. Sheesh.
Excuse me, but is what they're saying real? The Inquisition's going to fix the hole in the sky?
That's what we're attempting, yes.
No one is doing anything. The Chantry's useless, and the Templars... Andraste. I never thought they'd abandon us. Listen, your camp will need food. I have contacts. We'll have deliveries there in days.
You want to help the Inquisition?
Never been part of something this big before, but if your Inquisition's going to seal the sky, I want to help.
What do you think, Cassandra?
I think the woman is asking you and not me.
Well, she is.
The Herald of Andraste. Yes, I understand. Haven is a mess, but we won't turn away anyone willing to help. Invite her, if it pleases you.
Head to Haven, then. We need good people.
I don't know if I'm that, but it will be nice to see. Thank you.
This is one of the agents that I was talking about before, so she'll show up in one of those perk categories. I think it's the Josephine category. I'm not entirely sure though. Alright.
What's that? An arrow with a message?
Favors for friends. A message is attached, written in a large flowing hand and bordered with doodles. People say you're special. I want to help, and I can bring everyone. There's a baddie in Val Royeaux. I hear he wants to hurt you. Have a search for the red things in the market, the docks, and round the cafe, and maybe you'll meet him first. Bring swords. Friends of Red Jenny. A poor drawing of the locations in the market is attached. Emperor Florian. Grand Duke Florian was not supposed to ascend to the Orlesian throne. His elder brother, Emperor Judicael II, had 2 twin sons, and thus a very secure line. Florian was free to pursue other interests, none of which revolved around the game. Indeed, the imperial court largely ignored him, and that was how he liked it. All that is recorded of that era is that he married, produced a single daughter, and afterwards showed little interest in her. An outbreak of the 100 Days Cough in 877. Oh no, do I have the 100 Days Cough? 877 Blessed changed his plans. Both of Judicael's sons perished, as did Florian's daughter. Racked by grief, Judicael lost interest in ruling, turning over all matters pertaining to the rebellion in Ferelden to his advisors, and instead spending his time hunting in the country. When Judicael was thrown from his horse during a fox hunt in 884 Blessed, Florian was suddenly vaulted into the throne. Famously, his response to the chevaliers delivering the news at his estate is said to be, "This will not do at all." A private and somewhat eccentric man, Florian limited his appearances at court and dealt almost exclusively with members of his own family. He was extremely particular about his habits of dress and grooming, eschewing current fashions for the sake of comfort, and refusing to wear cosmetics or powders of any kind due to an intense dislike of being dirty. Powerful and connected nobles who had served in the cabinet since his father's time were turned away in favor of his younger brother, Renaud, his sister, Melisande, and his cousins. Children were banned from the palace, even the children of servants, with the exceptions of his nephew and nieces, who were tolerated only on the condition that they remain out of the emperor's sight. Regarding suggestions that Florian and his youngest cousin, Megren, were lovers, the truth is uncertain. If such a relationship existed, it was no doubt kept private due to Florian's aversion to public life, and not from any fear of rumors. Such rumors, after all, were likely to spread due to the emperor's refusal to sire another child and thus secure his line. Many believed this failing would eventually lead to civil war. The only real evidence of a relationship with Megren is a loud and very public argument the two had prior to Megren's appointment, or exile, as he saw it, to the throne of Ferelden. Megren is said to have called Florian "my darling," and neither man chose to explain the argument later. The predictions of civil war almost came to pass upon Florian's death in 919 Dragon. With no clear heir, the throne eventually passed to the only daughter of Grand Duke Renaud, Celine, after a vicious struggle that threatened to consume the empire. From The Emperors of Orlais by Brother Harlan Ascari. Very interesting. So that is Empress Celine, the current Empress of Orlais. That is her father. She of the Highwaymen repents. I think this is another song, but poem it is. Gallows master, hold thy hand, hold it back a while. Callous juror, let me stand, let me bear a smile. For comes my brother distant, for comes my Saviour soon. I stand here most insistent, I will receive my boon. Fellow soldier, hold thy voice, hold it if you may. Fallow shoulders, show my choice, I am in your sway. For know my crime was cruel, and all my pain deserved. I stand here as a fool, despite my brother served. Mother dearest, look away, look into the sun. Others nearest, gone astray, you will be undone. For no more will I prattle, and no more will I pray. Hear you must the rattle, as life will fly away. From Songs of Old Orlais, She of the Highwaymen repents. Inscriptions collected by, formerly, Sister Laudine. La pomme vie est morte. It is said that the apples that grow near the gallows will be bitter on the tongue of a lover who will betray. It is also said, although by different people entirely, that unripened fruit should not be the only consideration when investigating matters of fidelity. The latter are lonely most evenings among the arbors of the summer bazaar. From Our Orlesian Heart by formerly Sister Laudine. Yeah, I don't think you should look at an apple's ripeness as an indication of someone's fidelity.
My maker, know my heart. Take from me a life of sorrow. Comfort is only yours to give. Oh, maker, where is the comfort? Look away. I have broken the chant because it comes from my heart. What have we when our divine is dead and the sky burns?
The blessings of Andraste are not lost to us. They've been made flesh.
Hold your tongue. I will not hear the blasphemy of a fool who claims to be sent by our holy bride. Maker, put out my eyes. I would rather blindness to this growing dark.
Oh dear, I'm making a lot of boo-boos around this area. None of them are severely impactful of anything, but not making the best choices, I have to say.
The Templars didn't even touch you.
I believe that messenger is trying to get our attention.
Yes, we will get to him in a minute. Knot of heroes, united in hatred. If we are re-examining motive, let us not stop at the sons of the betrayer. For the first leader of young Orlais after the sons was Jeshevis, chattel wife of 2 of them. But examine the facts. A proud daughter of the Syrian, chosen not unkindly by Isarath to be his bride. It was her reach that granted him power to unify. Consider what she witnessed in the consolidation of her people. She has always been portrayed with sadness, but what if when our nation was born, the game was born with it? Judge her actions not as property, but as master, and what changes? As victim, Isarath, rumored cruel, breaks the clans in a lust for power. His brother, Verald, exile from his own machinations in young Navarra, appeals to the saddened wife and promises a new path. The brothers vie, and Verald wins, and then demands the hand of Jeshevis, another Ferelden greedy for power. In a decade, the shy victim her name is so hard to say, Jeshevis, is the figurehead of the people's rebellion against the last son of the betrayer. As master, bound to rivalries far older, she harbors a hatred beyond Tevinter, and while Isarath is distracted with personal concern or with building a nation to withstand his own people's enemy, she invites the broken brother and sets him against the driven. While accepting marriage to the victor, Jeshevis seeds rebellion among those who remember how their lands were taken not a generation before. Both leave her as ruler, as Githya? I'm not sure. Githya. But should not the rule of a victim been uncertain? Jeshevis rules for 42 years. There were no great swings backward, no people's retribution, for she had become accustomed. If the goals of Isarath were selfish, and the goals of Jeshevis was to reverse them, then Orlais is born of the failure of both. But if Isarath built his father's wall, and Jeshevis wanted revenge, then we are a nation of 2 successes, 2 parents in opposition but in partnership. Excerpted from A History Not of Heroes, readings in The Ugly Heart of Change, collected by Philium, a bard. Oof, that was a tough one. That name is very difficult to say. Jeshevis. It's a strange name.
You are the Herald of Andraste, are you not? I have an invitation for you.
Invitation. First Enchanter Vivienne. You are cordially invited to attend my salon held at the chateau of Duc Bastien de Ghislaine. Yours, Vivienne de Fer, First Enchanter of Malsimard, Enchanter to the Imperial Court. Okay, I think most of these are just shops. I don't think there's any documents in here. Oh, maybe one or two little things. The Emporium of Mortal Means. A plaque reads, "For all matters defensive concern, offensive intent, and study of arts martial and, with sanction, magical." So I guess that's just telling you what the shop is. Does this one have one too? Don't see anything.
Well, this has all been a frustrating mess. Templars and Chantry, and especially the mages. Just everything. I apologize if you were refused service, but we are now open for business. Especially if you put my wares to use.
Yeah, so in all my subsequent playthroughs, I don't bother with these because, well, generally I don't buy equipment or anything from stores because you can usually find stuff in the world that's better, and the only thing that matters in stores is schematics. And when you use the NUG, you already have your schematics, so I don't normally go in there. But now, I may have to go back at some point and La pomme vie et morte. The apples nearest the cafe are said to change their taste depending on whether one is walking toward or away from the gallows. And of course they do, for taste is subject to the whims of the heart, and no meal is favored after tears. But dare it anyway, for none know the taste of joy such as we who do not shy from experience. Yeah, I'll have to come back at some point and buy some things. I'm not going to go into any of these shops or anything right now, but I will eventually. Okay, so we're going to start on this one and then work our way around. There's quite a lot of these plaques here. Okay. Grace of the Empire, West. A notice reads, "This display reserved for presentations of affection as though private, and also discounted spirits, presented by Company Mr. X Theater." So I guess these are little like stages that people put on shows and stuff in the middle of the square. The Third Lion of Orlais, in respect to Duke Yvon of Sèvres. Grace of the Empire, South. A notice reads, "Reserved for his strangeness, Sir Sound, and his static puppets behind glass." The Fourth Lion of Orlais, in respect to Duke Stéphane of Valmontagne. Grace of the Empire, East. A plaque reads, "Welcome all before the Grace of the Empire. Stage and audience for the use of all, for theater and business, for partnership and proposal. Be seen." A notice below reads, "This display reserved for songs traditional by Lord Bramford and his players. Cancelled." Oh, what a shame. The First Lion of Orlais, in respect to Emperor Alphonse Valmont. The Lions of Orlais, a repeating element dedicated to the great defenders otherwise noted. It is rumored that one is gold, one is bronze, and weighted with poison, one is chocolate, and one is watching. As the saying goes, dare we all a thief to test his back, and learn which is most dangerous to try, deny, or lay. Did that make sense? Dare we all a thief to test his back, and learn which is most dangerous to try, deny, or lay. I feel like there's words missing in there. In truth, all are lead and leaf. Don't pretend to ride them too long, lest the mind give way. excerpted and torn from a disposable walking tour of the capital by Philium, a bard. I actually find that Philium's codex entries and documents, his wording, the way he writes things, or I guess the person who wrote as Philium, it's very convoluted sometimes, the way that his sentences are put together. It's kind of neat because you get such a distinctive voice, but it's also difficult to read out loud. Grace of the Empire North. A notice reads, "This display reserved for discourse political, with attending professors of social matters from the University of Orlais. Note that all vendors of loftable groceries will be closed in the hour beforehand and for 1/2 after." No one wants to get pelted with tomatoes and cabbages. The second line of Orlais. In respect to Duke Isidore d'Arlesan. Okay, and I think that was it. Alright, like I said, there are tons of codexes around here. Let's talk to this poor lady here. Who got clocked.
This victory must please you greatly, Seeker Cassandra.
We came here seeking only to speak with the mothers. This is not our doing, but yours.
And you had no part in forcing our hand? Do not delude yourself. Now we have been shown up by our own Templars, in front of everyone. And my fellow clerics have scattered to the wind along with their convictions. Just tell me one thing. Do you truly believe you are the Maker's chosen?
I'm gonna say yes.
I do believe it. Do you have a better explanation?
Several, but are they the truth? I am left to question all I have been taught. I suppose it is out of our hands now. We shall all see what the Maker plans in the days to come.
You're obviously skeptical. What do you believe I am?
Our divine, Her Holiness is dead. I have seen evidence for everything, except what would comfort me.
That doesn't answer my question.
For you to be true, a great many things must be false. And if you are false, a great many things must have failed. There is chaos ahead, whatever your intentions.
So what happens now? Will the Chantry continue to denounce me?
We have already done so. And what good has it done us? Now it falls on us to select a new divine, if we can. And leave the next step to her.
Provided such a selection is even possible.
I truly don't know. Any revered mother who could have followed Justinia died at the Conclave. What becomes of us, and your Inquisition, is in the Maker's hands now.
Where is the Lord Seeker taking the Templars?
I can't begin to guess the Lord Seeker's mind. He could not have abandoned his intended role more completely.
There must be sense to what we can't see.
Must there? Rebellion seems popular in certain quarters, doesn't it, Seeker? Is crafting the Templars into a new power really any worse than declaring a rival to the Chantry itself?
What were you hoping the Lord Seeker would do exactly?
Put aside his war against the mages and find common purpose against something much more dire. Obviously, he has other plans. With the knights vigilant slain at the Conclave, there is nothing more we can do.
Perhaps there is something we can do.
I'd like to believe that, Seeker. I truly would. I suppose we can expect renewed effort against the mages from him, and yet more chaos.
She said the Knights Vigilant were all slain at the Conclave. I think the Knights Vigilant is like one of the top tier Templar positions in the Order, and I think I can't quite remember if it's like there's a Knights Vigilant for each sort of large area, or if there's only one. But I guess it makes sense if all the top-ranking Templars were there, that they would have all died, which is something I didn't really consider. So now we just have sort of maybe Knight Commanders, I think might be the next one down. Or no, Lord Seeker is different. That can get confusing.
How many Templars turned on the Chantry exactly?
They rebelled across Thedas. Some remained loyal, but not enough to call them the Order. The White Spire here in the capital was the largest garrison, but now it stands empty. Perhaps more shall flock to the Lord Seeker's banner now. How far has faith waned, I wonder?
That's interesting too, that the White Spire is completely empty, that the Templar headquarters. Because you would think, oh, like maybe some of the other Templars in smaller places decided to rebel, but to have the main Templar strongholds just peace out is kind of crazy.
How are people responding to all of this?
Despair. Fear. We mourn Her Holiness. The people look to the sky and wonder how long before terror comes for us all. There must be a way through this. Is it you? The Templars? The Maker's will? We abandoned our duties. We servants of the faith. Now we can only pray.
It's not too late. The Chantry could still help us and come out on top.
If only that were true.
What's to stop you from trying?
We are not looking for a winning horse. We are simply trying to do the right thing.
Well, you're not. You're not doing the right thing. Difficult time for those who have lost. While I understand concerns for propriety and the general dressing of the bazaar, I must caution that release is needed. We are suffering not just ongoing civil conflict pitting brother against sister, not just outright war pitting Templar against mage, not just the loss of our most holy and the best of our leaders. We are suffering all three, as the sky is wounded for all to see. All we know of our world is threatened, along with all we know of the next. With this most grave notation, I ask that the writs of losses and missing remain, that the citizens, however indirectly, be allowed to post their griefs of known dead and the names of hopefully living, and with them their criticisms of how they have been told or not told. For while I have no doubt we as Orlesians will maintain our utmost composure, there must be release. There must be grief. There must be mourning. If not, if we do not allow this simple expression, we risk a greater outburst. Let our people shed their tears in as reserved a means as necessary. The market will be cleared in due course, but this day, this time, we must let the simple expression stand. Written by Captain Albion, Orlesian Guard, Summer Bazaar. Reservoir stocking evaluation. Tremors, floating, taste is off, water birds die off, restocking failed, fish not fit, do not consume. I bet this is probably like a rift
There must be something here.
in the lake that's causing all this awful thing, this stuff to happen to the fish. Favors for friends. A red handkerchief folded around a key, with a small hasty scrawl. Key lifted from drunk, swearing about Harold. Don't know what door. I'm out. My debt is paid. Oh, another Randy Dowager quarterly. A waterlogged quarterly missive of suspect virtue. The Randy Dowager welcomes the blooms of spring with the collected Callipygian cuirassiers. Callipygian cuirassiers, I think, being a scandalous representation of Her Majesty's favoured caught in flagrante delectable. Can their uniforms and modesty withstand the assault? The Randy Dowager. Exhibitions for the noble of thought, but spry of step. The lady herself says, hardly a Tethras, but generously arousing if polished cuirass does it for you. And it should. 3 scarves fluttered in shock out of 5. R.D. Hardly a Tethras. Get up there. What are you doing? La Masque du Lion. We cheered when honoured was her might, but many more deserve a thought. For though she was the first a knight, her ken and kind have always fought. From a plaque with the dedication La Masque du Lion, sponsored by Princess Corinne's 1st Cavalry, for those we stood beside. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do the best of my ability with the French pronunciations. I do speak a little bit of French, but I always feel like I sound so silly when I try to do the French pronunciation, but I'm trying since it's Orlais, you know. Oh, this is one of my favorites. The head of Madame Snappy Snips. What a great name. I love it. Mascot of La Masque de Lion. Named in jest, but genuinely respected. The Grand Mame, as she is also called, was the last dragon brought down by Ser Koenig, the previous owner of the café. A spirited hunter, Koenig came of age in the years following the sighting that named the era. While others were quick to assume the tales of ancient Navarran dragon hunters must have been exaggerated, he tracked the gradual increase in dragon numbers and size. Koenig believed we had yet to see a true return of the beasts of legend, and that the specimens of his day were young, despite their ferocity. It is a cruel victory, but today we know Ser Koenig to have been correct, even as he may have fallen to his own expertise. He was, years overdue from his last hunt, and for the rest of us, travel-weary. What we thought to be the pinnacle of dragon strength may have been closer to adolescence. The sisters of Madame Snappy Snips may have left their sibling far behind. Excerpted and torn from a disposable walking tour of the capital by Philiam a Bard. Aww. Madame Snappy Snips. Knot of Heroes, Mafarath and Sacrifice. Andraste, Our Lady, the sword and the fire against Tevinter, betrayed to the Empire in exchange for a kingdom. Mafarath, now synonymous with treachery. But would Andraste have won, and if not, what would we have lost? Let us look not just at the act, but at the why of it. As the armies of faith pierced the imperial homeland, it was revealed not as a wave, but as an arrow. And as any hunter will attest, if your aim is not true, there is no returning to the bow. We must consider how much of Our Lady's victory to this point was against true Imperium, and how much was against the echoes of the Empire. Andraste the inspiration may not have considered such. But Mafarath the general fought for homeland, not visions. Was it victory or defeat that his betrayal held at bay? Mafarath made the deal that killed Our Lady, that is fact. And when Andraste died, Mafarath was gifted everything from the southern plains south. How generous and impossible to hold this must have seemed. Let us look on Mafarath and the legacy he divided among his sons, not with an eye for accusation, but from a tactical consideration. For he must have known that mere rivals had never stopped Tevinter. What if he set about creating peers, and none of this was accident? How then fared Isarath, Evrion, and Verald? excerpted from A History Not of Heroes, Readings in the Ugly Heart of Change, collected by Philium a Bard. Yeah, these Philium ones are... his writing style is very difficult to read. Favors for friends. A different, simple script on the back of a stable report, marked with red paint. Thank you, friends, for helping good Lady Caris. Saw those who asked about Harold enter third passage. Could not stay to see them exit.
All men are the work of our Maker's hands, from the lowest slaves to the highest kings.
The summer home of Messer Glubbs. A plaque reads, a seasonal home for the childhood pet of the twin sons of Empress Yvette. The nature of Messer Glubbs remains unknown, save that he was a gift from a Ravani ambassador, and he was eventually released to the sea after taking the hand of a sluggish page. Oh. See, this is what I love about reading these codexes. You just get these fun little gems that are just like, you know, no one needed to write that for this game. It doesn't affect anything else, but it's just so funny and it's so charming. It really adds to the world of Dragon Age. I just love it. The Lover's Alcove. Every district has one, at least one. And the question must be, why is a place meant for dalliance declared in such an obvious way? And the answer, of course, is that obviousness is the entirety of the point. When manners and station will not allow impassioned words, such corners are places to be seen not being seen. Entering with a paramour is as much a declaration as singing out in joy, which one of good standing must never do. The alcove is thus a dignified means of announcing romantic affiliation. The alcove is thus a dignified means of announcing romantic affiliation, either for genuine partnership or to appear as such in order to spare a suitor a refusal. Dignity, of course, requiring that one does not also make use of the darkness for actual physical gratification. This has, of course, never occurred. From Our Orlesian Heart by formerly Sister Laudine. Not of Heroes, the Death of Diversity. What could hold back an empire? Another. What could hold back so defined a people as to Vinter? Another. Let us consider if eldest Isarath was not meant to honor Mafarath, for the father's fate was already condemned by hidden betrayal. Let us consider that Isarath was told to turn from ties to Mafarath, to look forward, not back. What of his actions then? Isarath was granted a land of tribes, of scattered alliance. His answer was the grand unification, which most condemn as arrogance. Sweeping changes in trade, relocations to break local allegiances, all to favor centralized trade and power. Cities were leveled to expand a new capital, a powerful and influential city of a new nation, Val Royeaux of Orlais, and all in the name of not lost Andraste, but of holding back looming to Vinter. Power was united, but cultures less so. Investing everyone in the new Orlais stratified the classes, and through it all spread a bitterness that a Ferelden ruled. Isarath avoided the stain of his father, for he was seen as a victim too, but he was still Alamari. What if, dear readers, the final unifying element came not from accident, or even the deliberate actions of Isarath, but from a common hatred, and not the common hatred of the day? The sons of Mafarath would succeed at creating a peer for Tevinter, but only at the cost of themselves. I don't think I'm going to read. Okay. Excerpted from A History of Not Heroes, Readings in the Ugly Heart of Change, collected by Philium a Bard. I feel like I don't need to read that every time, but I'm probably going to. Interesting. So this is all telling a story about his sons, Mafarath's sons' expansion of the worlds of Thedas and how they were creating rivals unknowingly, or knowingly, I suppose. Her Majesty's Convenience. A plaque reads, For Her Majesty's convenience, wood and vines defy the very sun and rain. This is a pretty little courtyard here. I like it. It's interesting to look at the plant life too, because you've got like almost a palm tree here in the middle, but then these look like evergreens. It's hard to really understand the climate around here. Of course, I think this is actually a special tree.
Yes, thank you.
Victory and Shade. A plaque reads, "Here goes one of many strange trophies, yes, returned from the liberation of Kirkwall in 760 Storm, where brave Orlesian forces turned back the unstoppable Kunari. A cutting salvaged from a burning dreadnought was presented to Emperor Cyril, and it was tended to full growth by the careful hands of Val Royeaux's master landscapers." Yeah, so this is actually not native to here. That makes a lot more sense. I'm guessing this maybe came from somewhere like Ravane or Parvalin or something like that.
Oh, yes.
Somewhere more tropical.
What? Yes, I'm sorry. Minding the duties of the ailing mother, Havara. I am rather overwhelmed. Forgive me. I am unsure whether I meant to extend chantry services to you, and that troubles me greatly.
Yeah, I think that's it from in here. Just check in this store. I think this is just buying and selling. Yeah. Okay. So actually, I think I've done... Yeah, I've done everything on this level, so let's just go to the second floor. I'm going to read this. And then I think I'm going to stop this episode and just continue on, because I know there's some more codex entries up here, but I'm not going to have time to finish. And I like to keep these around an hour, so we'll just finish off this little bit here. A season of the four afoul. At this window, the thief Treadwell did witness the attempted assault of Lady Castine. He surrendered his chance for escape to catch and hold her assailant, a bard of Lord Hellavine. Hero thief, foiled bard, and conspiring noble were all censured as per their station and relevant action. Lashings and labor, disappeared, and ostracized for the social season, respectively. The scandal played out far longer in the theatrically serialized adaptation, which reimagined the three as siblings, separated at birth, competing for Lady Castine's hand at her orchestration. The conclusion was relatively accurate to the original event, save the punishment of the thief and noble being swapped to comic effect. Generally good reviews received, though some thought the height of the lady's hair to be unrealistic. Excerpted and torn from A Disposable Walking Tour of the Capital by Philium, a bard. That's a funny one. Oops. Alright. Favors for friends. A scrap of parchment is hastily torn from an ornate document, stuffed into its hiding space with a large red sock. And we are to obey well. We meet at 3 bells to discuss how best to serve the new way. Scrawled below in a misspelt script. Herald go at time. Praise Andraste. Taken together, the messages reveal a time, path, and key to a location on the world map. Alright. I don't think there's anything down here. Is there anything tucked away in this little corner? No. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. And then next time we'll just finish off some of the rest of the codex entries up on the second floor area. And then I think we'll head out and we're going to be meeting a couple new people in the next episode. So actually this didn't take as long as I thought. I thought we might have been here for 2 full episodes just because of the amount of reading, but it seems to have gone pretty well. So Thank you for watching, and apologies for the coughing and everything like that. I think I've tried to get this microphone. I have a mute button on here, but I'm not quite sure how it works. So I'll try to figure something out in between now and the next episode, so I'm not coughing into the microphone. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.